Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action Battle Report. I am here for a very bittersweet battle with my good friend Tyler Goodflower, who is going to be leaving us. So we're actually very sad about that. He's going to be taking a lot of really nicely painted terrain and beautiful armies with him to New York, being restationed. So we decided that it was only appropriate that for our last battle, we do a late war scenario, his Soviets versus a determined, gritty holdout section of Waffen-SS in a sort of an Operation Bagration type scenario, and we're going to be playing 1,500 points of tank war. So I'll go ahead and start with what we have here in the German list. The Germans are going to be trying to turn back the tide with one inexperienced Volksgrenadier squad, with the green rule, obviously, and the mixed quality rule. We have two 6-man squads of Waffen-SS with Panzerfausts. We have one half-track that's going to be carrying the Waffen-SS with the MMG, one half-track with a light AT gun that will be carrying the Volksgrenadier. Of course, we had to bring out the Yad Panther. I've got a Panzer IV, a Puma, and a Maltier, which is going to be towing this Pack 40. So come over here to the Russian side, and as you can see, Tyler is going to be playing in character with a hat that he ordered especially from Russia. So that's awesome. Okay, so Tyler, why don't you tell me what you got going on here?
I have three M3 Lend-Lease Stewarts with two forward-facing whole machine guns and one coax machine gun.
Okay.
One of them has the command special rule.
Okay.
Su-76 with light HE. A Gaz Lend-Lease Jeep with a 50 cal on it. Three T-34s, one with the command rule. One Cossack Cavalry Squad. One inexperienced, the free inexperienced squad.
The free squad, yep.
With a captured handle mag.
Nice.
And a ZIS-3 with a Lend-Lease Brit
carrier. And then you have one squad of tank riders, is that correct?
Yes, one squad tank riders.
All right, man, really loving all this Lend-Lease equipment and captured equipment. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the table here. So the Russians are going to be pushing up from this village up the road. They've got a lot of open ground to cover, and as you can see, previously some Russians tried to do that, but were gunned down and lost one of their, what is that, an IS-2? ISU-2. And they're going to be attacking this trench line that the Germans have established here in these woods. As you can see, there's a position right here overlooking the road, which is probably how they were able to take that IS out. And then there is a long trench line with a bunker at the end and some ruins, flanked by woods on both sides. So a lot of open ground for the Russians to cover today. We're going to be playing lengthways of the table, and we're going to be doing the scenario Envelopment. So stick around, we're going to go ahead and deploy the troops, and then we will let you know how it goes. Stay tuned. All right, we're back after deployment. The Germans put most of their stuff on the table. They only had to put up half of their force, but they decided that they need every man they can spare. The Russians are actually going to start the game with no units on the table. So there's going to be a preparatory bombardment. I'll go ahead and talk about what's going to take place. The half-track with the light AT gun has one squad of Waffen-SS in it, and it is in reserve, so it won't be coming on until the second turn. I set up this Pack 40 kind of overlooking the road right here behind this barricade. Its Maltier is parked back here behind it, so it's kind of really, for the most part, just out of the game. I've got a half-track here positioned behind the trench that's got a pretty good field of view with its MG42. And then I've got one squad of Waffen-SS holding down the middle line, and then I've got one squad of the Volksgrenadiers holding down the left of the center line, kind of close to the bunker in case they need to get inside there. The Germans are going to hold their armor back here. Forgot to mention earlier that this vehicle actually has the fuel shortage rule. So every time it moves, we'll be checking to see if it's run out of fuel or if it continue to fight. So I've got to get it into a good position to start the game, just in case it runs out of fuel. And then over here in the woods, we've got the Puma, just waiting to see what comes down the road. So that's what the Russians are doing or what the Germans are doing right now. The Russians will start again, like I said, off the table. We're going to do a prep bombardment right quick. So we'll play that scenario, or we'll do the prep bombardment, and then we'll let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So the Russian artillery bombardment did actually come through. We got one direct hit on the Yad Tiger back here behind this building, but unfortunately it was unable to penetrate its top armor, which is level 10. So it did receive 2 pins, however, and I'm sure the crew is very rattled. Meanwhile, over here, Panzer IV received a pin. Puma received 2 pins. The Volksgrenadiers only received 1 pin. Bobbin SS in the middle managed to get out unscathed. The half-track took a couple of pins, and the pack took a pin as well. Actually, did the pack take 1 pin or no pins? One pin, yeah, it did. And its Maltier took a couple of pins. So the Germans are already going to start this game off at a disadvantage if they weren't already. And I forgot to point out earlier that the Russians have 14 dice and the Germans only have 10 in the bag. So it's not looking too good just from the outset for the Germans. Like I said, the Russians will start off the table. They're going to be coming through this village and through these woods, trying to take this crossroads that's held by the German and push on past the Germans' lines. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 1, and we will let you know how it goes. So stay tuned. All right, so we're back after turn 1. The Soviets have begun their advance onto the table. First element of the Soviet reconnaissance group to move out onto the field was this Stuart. He came out and sat down there, looked around. All of the Germans are using the hidden setup rule, so he doubtful could see anything. The pack tried to take a shot, but could not get it together and did not pass its orders test. So no harm, no foul. They're still hidden. We have the couple other Stuarts that followed up to investigate. The ISU 72.
No, which one?
What is it? Yeah,
SU 76.
SU 76. I need to learn these Russian tanks if I'm going to do these. The SU 76 moved up as well and went down there. We had a ZIS come onto the field, towed by the Bren carrier. And then we had the captured German half-track move up here, full of, it's got the inexperienced squad, full of inexperienced soldiers in there. So those are Tyler's reconnaissance elements. He left the rest of his units in reserve. The Germans spent most of the turn just trying to shake their pins. Obviously the pack failed its orders test, went down, but everyone else except for the Volksgrenadiers were able to successfully rally. The Yad Tiger was able to recover from its earlier shell shock and is going to be able to get in the action on this next turn. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 2, and we will let you know how it goes. I think the guns are fixing to start blazing. It's about to get ugly, so stay tuned. Hey guys, we're back after turn 2. The Russians are beginning their advance onto the table. Over here, they brought on a heavier element of their armored division. They've got a T-34 followed by a Jeep. We have the Zis that took shots at the Puma in the woods and managed to hit it, but only managed to catch it on fire, and they were able to put the fire out. So the Puma is pinned, but still active. This Stuart took shots at this pack down here. The pack, they did manage to hit the crew and pin them, but they were unable to kill anyone. The Su-76 fired at the Puma as well, but only managed to cause a pin. This Stuart also took shots over at the pack, but didn't manage to hit anybody. Meanwhile, we've got the cavalry bringing it up in the rear. There's a half-track full of inexperienced troops that was fired upon by the German half-track over here at the trench. And those troops inside tried to get out, but ended up going down. And then over here in the woods, in this little quiet corner of the woods, we had a very brave Stuart move up the road and hose down the Volksgrenadiers with its machine guns and take a shot at the Puma or with its light AT gun. But unfortunately, around the corner rumbled the Ad Tiger, and with its last bit of fuel, fired the shot that took out this Stuart. And rolled for a fuel check and finds out that it only has one more move before it's going to be out of fuel. So on this next turn, wherever it lands will have to be where it spends the rest of its battle. Meanwhile, the Volksgrenadiers shed their pins, rallied. The Panzer IV moved from this position over here so that it could be seen. So Tiger Fear is now in effect for all of the Soviets. And like I said earlier, this half-track took shots at the half-track down there, managed to pin it. Pack 40 tried to fire at the Su-76 but missed. We had some reinforcements show up, half-track with the light AT gun. Fired at the Su-76 and missed as well. Veteran troops are inside. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 2. The Russians are beginning to move forward. They did have one tank with some tank riders that ended up having to go down, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I forgot to mention, this tank just actually ran onto the table, so it's in a prime position for the next game if that Stuart can get out of its way to lay some damage down on the Puma, so and possibly the Ad Tiger. So we'll go ahead and play this turn, and we will let you know how it goes, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back after turn 3. And as most games go between Tyler Goodflower and myself, it's turned into a bloody mess. I don't even know where to start. I think what we'll do is we'll start over here with the Stuarts. So a couple of Russian Stuarts decided to advance up. They passed their Tiger Fear test, and they raked this Pack 40 with shots, pinned it, made it unable to pass an orders test. But they only pinned this vehicle once. This vehicle moved out of the cover here, fired its main gun at this Stuart, and managed to immobilize it. So it's now, and it also caused turret jams. So that Stuart is now stuck in place for the rest of the game. Meanwhile, its infantry hopped out with their Panzerfaust, got a side shot on this Stuart's side armor, and managed to take it out completely. But Tyler wasn't about to let that stand. He passed an orders test with this inexperienced half-track, rolled it up, his free squad jumped out, and the half-track took shots into the squad, managed to kill one. Just managed to cause a pin. This squad fired point blank and took out one of these fanatic Nazis. And they, so this squad received fire from the SS who advanced out of here. They also fired their Panzerfaust into the Su-76, knocking it out completely. Meanwhile, the Volksgrenadiers just ran over here to shift to be part of the battle. But it looks like we've got some Russian cavalry racing across the field over here to put an end to the Fanatic SS. So this next turn promises to be very violent. Let's see. So they also received fire. The inexperienced infantry also received fire from this half-track. No, you know what? I'm sorry. This half-track fired at the cavalry over here. So managed to put a pin on the cavalry, but they're pretty gritty and determined, so I'm sure they'll be able to shed that pin and race across the field. Meanwhile, the Beast passed its orders test, rolled out with its last move out onto this field, took a shot down the road at the T-34, but missed. But he's in a pretty prime position to cover the field for the next bit of the game. The Jeep rolled up here. The Puma tried to fire shots at it, but could not pass its orders test, so it just went down. Meanwhile, over here on the Russian side, the Zis fired at the Beast when it was sitting back there earlier. Managed to score a hit, but could not penetrate the front armor, and it passed its orders test. Meanwhile, the tank moved up, but could not pass an orders test. Tank riders stayed where they were. Command tank also stayed where it was. So still have a couple of Russian tanks covering that flank over there. So it's still going to be pretty interesting. But it looks like the Nazis have been able to thin them out, to say the least. So we'll see if the Russian hordes can use their superior firepower to take out the Germans. Also their superior fuel supply. So anyway, that was turn 3. As always, it's been a very bloody turn. We're going to go and play turn 4. Stay tuned. All right, so we are back after turn 4, and an even more violent turn 4. Turn kicked off with a desperate cavalry charge across this field, attacked the Waffen-SS, and the Waffen-SS sustained no casualties, and they eliminated the cavalry. So these fanatics are really just digging in. The inexperienced infantry tried to get it together to fire at the Waffen-SS at point blank, but I guess seeing that what happened after that cavalry charge, they just ended up going down. Also, the fact that there's a supposed tiger back here caused them to not pass a morale test. This vehicle fired its main gun at the Stuart again and actually missed, so no hits there. Stuart tried to activate but couldn't, ended up going down. The Pack tried to fire at the let's see, I believe it was this half track right here, but couldn't get its orders test passed, so and it actually foobarred. So as you can see, it's moved back here to the corner. So not much use from the Pack for pretty much the entire game. Meanwhile, we had a T-34 advance up to take shots at the Behemoth, and it missed. The Jihad Tiger fired back, missed, so a little bit of a standoff going on there. Jeep fired its rounds into this half-track, but did not hit. Yeah, oh, that's right, it failed its orders test, so it actually ended up just going down. Meanwhile, we had a German tank fire at, or let's see, the Panzer fired at the side armor of this half-track, took it out completely. So actually, yeah, oh, okay, never mind. Sorry, I got a little confused. But yeah, basically, this Panzer fired at this half track and missed. The Volksgrenadiers took shots at the guys here. I think they only managed to hit one of them. These guys opened up fire as well across the field at the inexperienced infantry and managed to do another casualty, I think. So meanwhile, over here, we already talked about the Jihad Tiger missing. The Puma could not pass its orders test yet again. Jihad Tiger did take a pin from this tank that has moved up into the soft cover with its troops on its back. And this tank fired at the Jihad Tiger as well, but also missed, as did the Zis divisional gun. The Bren just went down. So as you can see, the Soviets are starting to move across the field towards the trench. So they're getting pretty close. They've got to get in. They've got to get past the trench, or at least even with it, to count as in my deployment zone. So the Nazis are still up for a fight, but we have managed to remove 5 German order die from the bag. So we've definitely evened odds a little bit, but we're pinned. Some of us are immobilized. It's not looking too good. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 5, and we'll let you know how it goes. So stay tuned. And we are back after turn 5. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen as much carnage in a bolt action game than this. It's always bloody when Tyler Goodflower and I play, but this is just something else. We have burning wrecks on both sides pretty much everywhere. So I think what we'll do is start over here. Soviets got their first die. The command tank with tank riders on the back, which is now on fire, pulled up, fired a shot at the behemoth, the Jad Panther, or Jad Tiger, and hit it and took it out. So it's dead. But after that, the Puma fired from the woods and killed the command tank. The crew jumped out. It was aided by another tank that rolled up, but was unable to hit the Puma. So the Puma still has 1 pin, but it's still kicking. Meanwhile, a Jeep pulled up into the carnage to try and take advantage of hitting this half-track that had rolled out from cover, but it took a Panzerfaust from the veteran Waffen-SS and was immediately knocked out. And that prompted the Volksgrenadier to jump out of their trench and move forward. So they're moving across the field now, hoping to make it to this tank. Meanwhile, this Panzer, which is actually knocked out now, took a shot at this T-34 over here, taking it out. That was actually pretty close to the beginning of the game, but then it was returned fire by the ZIS, which needed a 6 to hit it, nailed it, penetrated the side shirts, and knocked it out. So it's now dead as well. The AT wagon took a pin from this Stewart over here. This vehicle managed to pull out and take shots at the inexperienced troops that went down. They did not pass their orders test, so they stayed down. But if you notice, there's no Tiger Fear on the table now. So the Russians have completely removed all the tanks that would instill Tiger Fear. So they are free to advance without having to orders test now. The tank riders had to hop off of this tank, so they're pushing on this flank. We also have that T-34 pushing. Meanwhile, the Waffen-SS, I think they ended up having to go down. I don't think they passed their orders test. That's pretty much it. The Brit carrier went down, the Maltier both went down. Bloody turn. So far, nobody in the setup zone of the Soviets, but it's looking like it could be pretty brutal. So we're going to go ahead and play this next turn. I'm a little bit frazzled, as you can tell. There's so much carnage. But we're going to go ahead and play this last turn, and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. All right, we are back after turn 6. The Soviet general is surveying this battlefield of carnage and death, wondering if he can get reinforcements, which he probably can. They're probably on their way. This was a victory for the Germans. The Russians were really unable to get anybody into the German deployment zone. They did get this tank. They tried to rush it in there, but the Puma took it out right as it drove past and shot it in the rear. So we'll go ahead and cover what happened over here on this side first, I guess. So first thing that happened was the T-34 tried to make a rush to get into the deployment zone, but the Puma turned its gun around, hitting it in the rear, taking it out of the game. Meanwhile, the Waffen-SS moved out, they advanced out of their trench, and they opened fire at the tank riders, who immediately went to ground to save themselves. So that flank was pretty much effectively shut down. Meanwhile, over here, Waffen-SS opened fire on the inexperienced squad, took them down to 2 men, and then the Volksgrenadiers ran up with their submachine guns and finished them off. And that's pretty much where we decided to call it, because it doesn't really look like Tyler's going to be able to get anything into the zone. So I got to say, I think this was I know that you'll have to come back and try to get revenge at some point, but I think, Tyler, we're going to miss your beautifully painted armies and terrain and your winning personality. This has just been so much fun. Yeah, I think this is a fitting end to our battles, at least for the foreseeable future. At least now you have reason to come back and get revenge. Yeah. So maybe I'll have to make a trip up to the cold state of New York to invade the Soviet Union up there. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching this battle report. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to go ahead and call this game. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think, what kind of battles you want to see, and keep working on terrain and armies to get a variety out there for you guys. Make sure to follow us at Texas Bolt Action, the Facebook group. You can join the group, say hi. Lots of cool modeling and hobbying stuff there. So anyway, yep, thanks for watching. We hope you have a great day. Bye.